So it's been a while since I posted anything about the BMW that I got for 200 bucks. So I figured I made a little update video. So, what's new on this car? Well, for one thing, I got new headlight assemblies. It was actually one of the first things I did to the car because the old ones, the lenses were all screwed up and the plastic surrounding the bulbs, the halogens there, was all cracked and water was getting in them. So I just got the cheapest set I could find, really, some Chinese replica of OEM ones. I had some nice HID ones on it before, the factory HIDs, but they were just all screwed up, and you know, I was on a budget with this car at the time, so I got those. New indicators as well. So, and the biggest thing I've done are these new wheels. I picked these up on the cheap. Reason being is because my old tires that came with the stock wheels were completely bald and shot. So I figured instead of buying all new tires for those, I'd get new wheels and tires and sell my old wheels that came with the car and nearly break even. For wheels and tires, these were only 250 bucks. So yeah, 250 bucks into a $200 car just for some wheels. But for those of you who want the specs, they are drag DR34s. It's a 17 by 7.5 on all four. And let's see, the kind of rubber, they're 225, 45, 17. These are W rated, so high speed. They got the reinforced sidewall and the whole thing, and they are really tough. Hankook S1 Evo. And it completely changes the way the car handles, I'll tell you that. It's night and day. The steering is much more responsive, and it really hangs and turns much easier. So, other than that, if you remember, I had an old floppy single outlet pipe back here that was not secured very well. It was like flopping all over the place. So I just decided to go to O'Reilly's, get a couple pieces of pipe with a twin tip, like, you know, the classic BMW twin tip, and I welded the hell out of the mounts there, and I got a cheap O'Reilly exhaust hanger that I just drilled into the freaking heat shield. So, on the inside, nothing has changed all that much. Just been kind of cleaning stuff up here and there a little more. Everything's the same back here for the most part. But one thing I did do was replace the resistor for the blower. Before, I'd only get air like above 25 to 30 miles an hour. I took this whole, I had to take the entire glove box out, I had to take some other trim pieces out, and I had to get down into a tight space in there to reach back to the resistor, and I replaced that. So that's the big change as far as interior functionality goes. And you're probably wondering about what the hell this is over here. Well, I think, like I mentioned before, the window doesn't work. Wait, whoops, wrong one. Because I got hit on that side and it broke the regulator. So without that suction cup in the winter, as I go over bumps, it would come down about an inch, and then, you know, water would start to get in if it was raining. So I have that suction cup just pitched there, so I can keep it from falling down and not getting wet. And as I showed in another video, I'll pop the trunk here. I got subwoofer, the Rockville 12-inch. My shit's all over the place. What I had to do, it still kind of slides back and forth here, as you can see, but I had to make these brackets kind of hold it in place. I just got some very short little screws holding those in there, so I don't like go through the damn into the spare tire, which is under there, because well, whenever I hop on it real quick or do a launch or something, do a pull, it would fly all the way back and pull some of these wires loose, and then suddenly I get a really low sub volume. So to fix that, I just need these couple of brackets. Still goes side to side, which is fine. It's not tugging on anything going this way, but definitely better than what it was. Also, I was having some trouble smogging this thing. A lot of trouble smogging this thing. The O2 monitors would not come back online. For whatever reason. I put 2,500 miles on it doing drive cycles. I replaced the O2 sensors. There was never a check engine light. It was just really strange. So I finally had to take it to a referee because the car just would not set. It wasn't polluting or anything. It's been running perfectly fine, but just that monitor won't come on. So I had to get it refed, and supposedly it's had that problem since 2004, but back then you could have one monitor down and still pass smog. So now she's basically all registered, insured, and now she's a daily driver. Another little thing I did, I installed new fog lights. One of the old ones were out, and one of them was like a really dark blue. So I got some basic ones off of eBay, some real cheap standard yellow fog lights. So those look good. I also got a new hood emblem. The old one, the paint was completely diminished. There was only a couple little spots where paint was left, so I got this cheap $8 one off of eBay, pasted it on there, and so far it's holding up really well. Definitely makes the car look a little better. Some of the stickers I had back on here I removed. There was a sticker along the side here, if you remember, called Bimmerfest, with a little the M color strip on the side. And there was some shit here in German, something that meant King's Lost in German, that I removed because that just looked kind of tacky. So, and it's also got quite a lot of miles on it now. We're almost at 152,000 miles. But yeah, back to the miles. I really put a lot of miles on this thing in the 6 months I've owned it. I've put about almost 6,000 miles on it, about 1,000 miles a month, and it's been really reliable. I did replace the brake pads. That light is just because the sensor is broken. The brake pads are all up to date, full of pad. They stop really nicely. I know some of you are concerned about the automatic transmission because they like to go out. This Steptronic GM friggin' French tranny it's got in here. But so far, I mean, I've definitely kicked this thing down tons of times. It doesn't slip. It lands in the right gear every single time, and it doesn't jerk. So it feels like it's got a lot of more life left into it, even though it's such a slush box. It really is. It's a pretty boring transmission. You almost, to get it to kick down, you almost have to hit the kick down switch, which is at the last 5% of the throttle. Unless you press the gas really quickly, then it'll kick down. But the manual shift mode works just fine. That remedies that. I took it in to replace the airbags. A recall came up on this car for faulty airbags on the passenger side. So it's like, well, shit. Great, I'm going to exploit that. Hell yeah. So I took my $200 BMW into the BMW dealership, the most prestigious dealership in my area, and got probably $1,500 worth of work done for free. So now it's got all new airbags over here. I found out where the oil leak was coming from. I'll pop the hood so I can kind of explain it a little better. And you bet it's one hell of an oil leak. As you can hear, it runs pretty smooth. It doesn't shake at all. I could probably balance a coin on this damn thing if I wanted to. But right down there, underneath this oil filter, where it meets to the block, is the oil filter housing gasket. And that gasket is leaking. So right down in here, very hard to see, it's just gushing out oil. Tons of friggin' oil. As a matter of fact, I have my designated parking spot for this thing over here. And if you can see all these dark spots, this is all entirely, the ground is completely dry, hasn't rained in like a week. This is all from the car leaking oil. All these dark spots, that's all oil. So she leaks. She really leaks. I'll tell you that. And as far as the engine goes, I've only done a few things. I replaced the air filter because that was all dicked up. I replaced this little coupler here because one had a big old tear in it right there. Changed the oil, put 040 in it, fully synthetic European blend. Like I said, new O2 sensors to try to remedy the smog problem. And that's really it. I did a compression test. I was getting, with the throttle closed, it was getting between 160 and 170 across all 6. So consistent compression. And that's really it as far as the engine. Well, I actually did replace the alternator, which was the problem. It wasn't the battery was bad, it was the alternator. I think I explained that in a previous video. So that I got a cheap alternator for 80 bucks, and that's doing fine so far. So that's about everything as far as under here goes. Okay, and I think I've just about covered everything on this car. So yeah, this is basically the $200 BMW in its fully functional form. Couldn't be happier with my purchase. Although, I am considering upgrading to a bigger BMW. I love the 3 Series E46, but I don't know, I'm thinking of kind of getting an E34, or trading for an E34. Preferably a 530i. I wouldn't do 525i because there's just no balls. Same engine as this, but in a car that weighs 600 pounds more, it just doesn't go good. But I just want something a little more sporty, something with a little more power and a little more space. So if any of you subscribers happen to live in Northern California and have an E34 BMW 530i, 535i, or 540i with a manual transmission, and would be interested in trading for this pristine BMW E46, please contact me. It must be in running driving condition. However, before I do sell or trade this car, I do want to do a few more things to it. I plan on at least either replacing the door entirely or fixing the oil leak. I will do one or the other before I consider trading or selling the car. But yeah, like I said, so far it's been a very, very reliable, very, very good deal as far as purchase-wise goes, and it's a fun car. So I'm glad I made this purchase. It's been a great daily to college and back. So anyway, that's about it for this $200 BMW. I will be making a driving video on this car at some point. But until then, hope you enjoyed this update, and thanks for watching.